Alright, so let's dive into the Battle of Waxhaws, where things got really chaotic and then, well, spoiler alert, it didn't end well for the Americans. But hey, let's take it one step at a time. Alright, the year is 1780, and the British are on a roll. After bagging Charleston, they're convinced they can clean up the entire South like it's just spring cleaning. Cornwallis, their top guy, sends out a flamboyant, kind of scary dude named Banastre Tarleton, a cavalry commander with a reputation for being all no mercy and no nonsense. Tarleton, the man, the myth, the terrifying legend, gets his orders and heads north with his cavalry to stamp out the last of the Patriot resistance. At this point, the British are feeling unstoppable. Enter the Americans, led by Captain Abraham Buford, a guy who was technically ordered to defend South Carolina, but ended up heading north once Charleston fell. And by heading north, I mean sprinting away from the British Army faster than you can say strategic retreat. He's trying to get his troops, mostly Virginians, a solid 350 of them, up to North Carolina to regroup and avoid getting pounced on by Tarleton's fast-moving cavalry. So they're marching and probably sweating bullets because they're not exactly sure where Tarleton is, but they know he's not far. Now, Tarleton isn't known for letting people escape, especially when those people are in retreat. So as soon as he hears that Buford is attempting to hightail it, he gathers his cavalry and charges like there's a free buffet at the end of the trail. And boy, do they catch up fast. He's pushing his men hard, riding around 105 miles in 2 days. That's not let's have a little jog speed. That's we're coming for you speed. On May 29th, Tarleton's men finally spot Buford's troops. But here's where it gets tense. Buford's got artillery, but Tarleton's got, well, pure chaos energy. The Americans try to make a last stand, setting up a defensive line as best they can. They even offer terms of surrender, but Tarleton's got other ideas. He orders his men to charge, and they hit the Americans like a hurricane of swords, bayonets, and whatever sharp pointy thing they could find. And then things just spiral. Tarleton's men tear into the Americans with little restraint, and as the story goes, some of the Americans who tried to surrender ended up getting cut down anyway. It's brutal, chaotic, and very unheroic. The end result? Over 100 Americans killed and nearly 150 wounded and captured. Tarleton loses only a handful of men in comparison. Now, this is where the legend really kicks in. Word spreads fast that Tarleton showed no quarter, a fancy term for no mercy. According to the rumors, he just went after everyone, surrendered or not. The Americans are furious, and this battle quickly becomes infamous. Tarleton's quarter becomes a rallying cry, an ominous reminder that in this war, the British are playing by some very harsh rules. It lights a fire under the Patriots, especially the folks in the Carolinas, who are suddenly way more determined to fight back and teach Tarleton a lesson. The Battle of Waxhaws wasn't huge in terms of numbers, but it had a massive psychological impact. In terms of tactics, it didn't do much for the British. They didn't gain any new territory or resources. But in terms of reputation, Tarleton's name becomes a symbol of British cruelty. And now, any Patriot fighters in the South are that much more committed to resisting British forces by any means necessary. So, there you have it, the Battle of Waxhaws, where Banastre Tarleton earned his nasty reputation and inspired a whole lot of Southern fighters to take up arms in the fight for independence. It's one of those moments where history just goes off the rails, showing how sometimes it's not the size of the battle, but the way it's fought that leaves the biggest mark.